I have told you earlier also, Sri Rama's sacrifice, it always appealed to me. Appealed to me in what manner? I will also sacrifice like this. So that sacrifice was always a matter of inspiration for me. But I found in Sri Rama, poor Rama was always aggrieved. I don't think he was very happy. I said, this part I don't like. So I want to be very happy and joyous. How can it be done? Then I found that Krishna was always smiling. Anything he does, he smiles. When Gandhari cursed him, then also he smiled. When Arjuna started shedding tears and dropped his bow and arrow, then also he smiles. Everywhere he was smiling. What is the secret of Krishna's smile? What is it that makes you smile in every situation? So I was thinking, Rama was apparently a little short of what I wanted. Krishna was apparently happy. So I also wanted to be very happy. And Shankara's renunciation. Krishna was not a renunciate externally, but Shankara was. I did not want to be the Krishna with a flute and in his Dwaraka. I wanted to be the Shankara way. Now these are the three primary inspirations in my life. As a child or as a boy. And my birthplace also was very near to Shankara's birthplace. So we used to have a lot of stories, legends, etc. discussed, spoken about. But I was thinking very seriously about, all this is very good, I have an inspiration. But I want to know, does sannyasa fit in with modern life? If so, what is that sannyasa? What is that renunciation? Is it a compelling climax, a natural climax, an inevitable climax? Our human life, as I told you, has 4 stages. And this is for everyone. Don't think that it is only for we 3 or people like us. It is for everyone, human life. Life, the first phase of education, the second phase of worldly involvement including marriage, the third one of withdrawal, the fourth one of ascetic resignation. These are very, very important. Then I found these 4 stages of life always hold good. Maybe a little moderation or change will be necessary to suit the present circumstances, but the principles are absolutely there. That is why we called it fourfold Purushartha. So, Kriyanashe Bhaved Chinta Nasha. If you refuse to be active, secularly active, then I think after some time you will not have secular aspirations or ambitions. Chinta Nashaha Asmad Vasana Kshaya. The mind will not feel like picking up a desire. It is something like this. A person who is already married, has 2 children, he attains the age of 60 or 65. Will he think of marrying again? You say? Yes or no? Something like that. I am an old person, I have already outlived all these things and I don't want. So the mind gets used to it. Vasana prakshayo mokshaha. When the vasanas and the desires become extinct in the mind, that is called Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti is that state of the mind where it does not pick up a desire and it does not get bound by it. This is the important point. That Vasanakshaya. And in order to bring Vasanakshaya, what can really help? Only Vijnana can help. You understand the unassociated, the unaffected, the uncoupled nature of the consciousness in you. See, people are all deluded to say mind, intelligence, ego. These are not actually physical entities within your body. Will you grasp when I say that? You say I. The same person who identifies something as the I, when I look at you, I say you. Your I becomes you for me, and I becomes you for you. So what is this I and what is this you? They are only referral points in us. And we speak about somebody as he, she, it or they. We refer to them as the third person, but they refer to themselves as first person. So the first person, the second person and the third person, are they not really the same? So where is your ego now? But people don't think, what shall I do? And when truth is mentioned, they will come up with so much of superimposition. Still, there is one of my listeners here who has been asking me about ego for the past 2 centuries. See, what is this? Why don't you understand the truth? See, the blood is in a state of circulation. The air is in a state of circulation. There you can you locate any particular point or a particle of air at any point? It is in a state of circulation. Whatever comes in goes out also. In the same manner somewhat, the consciousness in you, it does not allow yourself to identify it as an I entity or a you entity or a he, she, it entity. Never, never, never. These are only referral things. In front of you, I become I. In front of you, when I say I become you for you. See, it's all a referral point. The consciousness is the one factor. Vasana prakshayo mokshaha sa jivan mukti rishyate. The jivan mukti is this vasana extinction, desire extinction. That is the jivan mukti. If you want to test your progress, test it in this manner. Am I still desire ridden? How many desires do I have? Are they very strong? Can I say goodbye to them? Have I reached a stage where without desiring, can I live and work in this world? See, you have 2 children. That day you have 2 children is a fact. And the children will have no other father and no other mother than you. This also is clear. What can you do? Every day you can feed. Morning you can feed for the morning. Can you feed him for the evening also in the morning? Huh? Or every time you feed him only once, the system assimilates the food and he starts growing. So the growth is natural. You feed him only once at a time. And the growth takes place. Keep quiet. When they become an adult, they will themselves say, Father, Mother, don't interfere, we will look after ourselves. Keep quiet. Why the children are getting attached to you, I don't know, or your mind gets attached to them. There is no necessity. So many people have been born, all of them have grown, and all the old people have died. You will also die one day. Why don't you understand life in a total manner? Every parent can make mistake in the matter of rearing up the children because we don't have previous experience and we don't try to enrich our experience to behave as a better parent. This is all very natural. Nothing more to seriously think. But you have to be very attentive. Give nourishing food, and to the extent he will be obedient to you, ask him to take exercises. Keep hygienic habits, entertain good thoughts, avoid bad thoughts, have good friends. All these are very natural in life. What is there unusual? Why should all these things bring about bondage in you? As a man with prestige or as a woman with prestige, should you not be in a position to say, my dear children, I have brought you up, but I am not going to suffer on your account. What? I am not going to suffer on your account. I have brought you up to the extent it is possible. I don't claim perfection in that. Now you have become old. I will say what is good according to me. If you feel differently, you are responsible. You find your place in this world. I think we are interfering too much. Why? What is the reason? So I don't think desire is necessary in an enlightened person. Desire is not the motivation. Natural laws are surrounding us. Natural laws are penetrating us. Our mind is working, brain is working by the natural law. I told you a case, a girl in Chennai who developed aneurysm, the bursting of a vein in the brain. She was admitted to the hospital. The doctor plugged that portion, another portion burst. That also he plugged. The whole of English knowledge that she had gone forever. When I cite this instance, should you not become intelligent and wiser? You agree that memory is part of the mind? Knowledge. If that knowledge, the whole of English knowledge, she was a graduate. She could not say fan. So this knowledge is acquired and stored in some physical area in the brain. When blood circulation was affected, the whole memory push gone. And the doctor said, you learn English again. Poor girl tried, after all, at the age of 21 or 22, who would like to relearn the whole thing? So she would say, for fan. It is revolving and it pushes air. That is what she means. But she cannot bring forth the word fan, fan. Similarly, when we get dementia, the whole is lost. Now, when the mind is acquired after the birth of the body, and the acquired mind also sometimes gets lost during the prevalence of the body, do you think after the body dies, the mind will survive? Please answer me. Then what nonsense you are clinging to? Swamiji, subtle body, Swamiji, Karana Sharira. What is this? I don't know why you are saying all these things. When the right information is given, nobody accepts, nobody acts upon. Sometimes, I also agree, I will also speak lies now. I said, whenever people ask me, you tell me, what kind of an answer do you want? Do you want the true answer or adulterated answer? I am tired. Why should we have desire? I really don't know. We must be able to function without desire and act upon needs. I will not breathe if breath is not necessary for me. I will not eat. You give me, I have heard that some kind of a fruit is there somewhere in the forest. If you take it once, you will not be hungry at all for the whole life. If there is such a fruit, please give me. So that I am free. We don't require any cooking and cook. I am breathing because it is necessary. I am eating because it is necessary. I am wakeful because it is indispensable. I am asleep or I sleep because it becomes necessary. So only on necessity I work. These necessities are designed and preserved by nature. Designed and preserved by? That is what Krishna says in the 3rd chapter. Nahi kaschikshanamabi jadu tishtatya karma gridu karyade hyavashak karma sarvaha prakritijair gunaihi. I know thousands of people in this country have read this verse. They also know, sometimes they repeat, but they don't know the application of the verse. Prakriti has held us firmly, and the 3 gunas of Prakriti are behind all our activities. You are inescapably bound by Prakriti gunas. Nobody can keep quiet here. If Prakriti is thus inexorably keeping us active, are you acting because of your desire or because of the forces of nature? Bas, drop your desires. As long as I am hungry, I shall be needing food. As long as the food is digested, okay, I will need further food. If my hunger is gone, stomach is damaged, appetite is lost, what shall I do? Some people may come up and give me some drips, that's all. But it's not a food which I need or I take. We have energy, that is why we are doing work. If you have no energy, and what builds up energy? It is the alimentary canal. food is physically put into it, and that food is digested by different processes operating in the abdomen, and energy results from that. Is it what? Is it something that you willfully do or not do? Huh? Why are you not answering? The assimilation and conversion into blood and energy, is it something that you consciously do? No. Suppose the blood generation is not there. Sometimes we hear instances where platelets is not there, pancreas has stopped functioning, liver has become weak. What will happen to the man? He will die after some time. So it's all designed by nature. Once you understand it, why desire at all? Have natural inspirations, natural persuasions. Carry on. So the same thing, but you understand and reassess matters. Understand it in a different manner. So, vasana prakshayo moksha sa jivan mukti rishyade. About your progress in spirituality, judge it on the basis of whether your desires are dwindling and you are heading towards redemption from desires. That is called mukti. Sadvasana spurti vijrambhane sadi. Hyasau vilina pyahamadi vasana. Adiprakrishta pyaruna prabhayam. Viliyade sadhu yatha tamisra. Sadvasana spurti vijrambhane sadi. Are you not with me? Sadvasana spurti vijrambhane. Sadvasana spurti vijrambhane sadi hi asau hyasau vilina abhi ahamadi vasana. Vilina pyahamadi vasana. Adiprakrishta abhi aruna prabhayam. Adiprakrishta pyaruna prabhayam. Viliyade sadhu yatha tamisra. The sadhana is a two-faced sadhana in the language of desires. Initially you have a number of worldly desires. Why a number of worldly desires? The worldly objects are plural and multiple, manifold. So when you see many things, automatically a feeling comes, I would like to have this, I would like to have the other. When a new gadget or a new piece of dress comes, they advertise it, push, come. So you go and see. Suppose altogether only one item is there, your desire is bound to become only one. Once you have it, no further desire. So because of multiplicity and plurality the senses perceive, we are having a number of desires. So the first stage will be, whenever you desire objects and you get them, what happens? You desire to have something. And when you get something, you have a contentment, a delight, saying that whatever I desired, I have. So I can enjoy it or experience it. Is it not? Now, your contentment is not absolute because there are so many objects and multiple desires. So one or two desires you may fulfill, 20 and 200 will remain. So it is just like climbing 12 inches, 1 foot, and dropping by 1 meter. Every day you climb 1 foot and drop by 1 yard or 1 meter. So this is never going to be completed. Now, can I have any kind of an alternate or a substitute desire? Yes, you can have. Desire your very self. where all these objects are reflected. That is where all of you will miss me. All your enjoyment and experience, are they outer or inner? Inner. So when I get an object, yes, I have got this object. So I have a feeling that this is mine and I have it. Is this the feeling or it is an external fact? The feeling is produced by whom? By the mind. So the mind is the one which says that I have got the object is mine, and it is that psychological idea or notion that gives you joy. Do you agree or not? Yes. All ideas are formed by the mind. So any object having attained gives you the feeling that the object is mine, I have got it. That I have got, it is mine, that is what gives you joy. So the joy is produced by the mind by creating feelings of possessiveness. So ultimately all the joy comes from the very self, is it not? So desire the very self. You desire, which is the one factor which gives you multiple joys, associating itself with multiple objects. So desire the self itself. This is what you have to first do. So in place of many desires, have only one desire. Let me have the whole. Let me have the full. Let me have the infinite. Sadvasana spurti vijrambhane sati. When that sadvasana, all the worldly desires are asadvasana. Why? All of them are perishable goods. Everything is perishable. Our body also is perishable. Now, when you have a grand desire for the sat, for the imperishable, all the others will prove insignificant. Now, when that sadvasana becomes very brilliant, shining, asau vilina pyahamadi vasana adipragrishta pyaruna prabhayam. When the sadvasana becomes very, very prominent, very, very prominent, very, very prominent, and what is that desire? Don't miss. A desire for your very self. And is the self to be desired? Huh? Because you are already the self. If you are already the self, why should you desire it? So in the language of desire, we approach the self. And by virtue of the grand self-desire, when all the other desires have fallen, have vanished, your trouble also is gone. When your trouble also is gone, you start thinking, what am I doing? I am desiring my very self. My very self I desire. Can you desire yourself? Is it necessary? You are already the self. It is something like, I am asking you to stand. Stand firmly at a given point. Yes. Be ready to reach the destination. Be ready. I will say, tap, and you should start. Then I finally say, reach where you stand. What? Reach? Then what will you do? You will run? Your destination is already where you are. This is called the self-realization. Bandho hi vasana bandho mokshasyad vasana akshaya vasanam tvam parityajya moksharthitvam abhityaja. Actually, my dear souls, most of the seekers, even sannyasins, either don't understand this truth, or even if they understand, they don't pursue it, actualize it. Everybody is a seeker. Nobody seems to be an attained person, because it requires a great astuteness, keenness, attentiveness, sensitivity, in order to understand that the self is not to be desired. You are already the self. Can you remain firm, composed, stable, full, abundant? I am already filled with physical and chemical substances bodily. And air fills me further. Heat fills me further. And the consciousness fills me even still further. So tell me whether your personality is full or not. Then what are you trying to add to? Now can you remain with this kind of a confidence and clarity and say, I need nothing. There is no place for anything in me. Physically, I am full with physical substances. Mentally and intellectually and ego-wise, I am full with consciousness.